For years, crab fishing in the Bering Sea was recorded as the deadliest job in America, and men flew north every winter anyway, because a few weeks on deck could pay like a year on shore. On the 14th of February 1983, the Americus was found floating upside down 25 miles from Dutch Harbor. No mayday, no bodies. Her sister ship, the Altair, was never found at all. 14 men died, among them skipper George Nations and his son Jeff. It remains the worst day in the history of American commercial fishing. On Everest, the men who carry the money up the mountain are rarely the ones who keep it. Before a single client arrives, Nepali workers fix the ropes and ladders through the Khumbu icefall and cross it dozens of times. A client crosses it twice. Everest Sherpa summited Everest 10 times and once slept on the summit for 21 hours without bottled oxygen. In 2001, he stepped away from Camp 2 to take a photograph and fell into a crevasse. The mountain does not price risk, it collects it. Whale oil lit the Western world, and Nantucket grew rich on it. In November 1820, a sperm whale rammed and sank the whale ship Essex in the middle of the Pacific. 20 men escaped in 3 small boats and drifted for months. When the food ran out, they drew lots. The loser was Owen Coffin, 17 years old, the captain's own cousin. He was shot and eaten. 8 men lived. The story reached a young writer named Herman Melville. Nantucket's fortune was always counted in barrels, never in buoys. North Sea oil paid better than almost anything on shore. On the 6th of July, 1988, there were 226 men on the Piper Alpha platform, 120 miles off Aberdeen. A pump was restarted at night by a crew who did not know its safety valve had been removed. The first explosion came at about 10 o'clock, and within hours the platform was gone. 167 men died. 30 bodies were never recovered. Most of the 61 survivors lived because they jumped. Nobody was ever charged. Saturation divers are among the best paid workers at sea, and they live for weeks inside a pressurized steel chamber to earn it. On the 5th of November 1983, on the rig Byford Dolphin in the North Sea, a diving bell was released while the chamber was still sealed to it. The pressure dropped from 9 atmospheres to 1 instantly. 4 divers died, along with a tender, William Cramond, who was struck by the bell. Their families fought for compensation for 26 years before Norway finally paid. The battery in your phone probably contains cobalt, and more than half of the world's supply comes out of one country, Congo. Around 2,000 unlicensed diggers walk into Glencore's Kolwezi concession every day and work the walls of an industrial pit with hand tools. On the 27th of June 2019, 2 galleries above the extraction area caved in and killed 43 of them. Glencore said the collapse had nothing to do with its operations. The governor blamed the diggers. The diggers were there because the alternative was nothing. Mel Fisher spent 16 years looking for a Spanish galleon on the sea floor. In July 1975, his salvage boat capsized in the night. His son Dirk, 21, his daughter-in-law Angel, 25, and diver Rick Gage drowned. Fisher kept diving and told his crew the same sentence every morning: "Today's the day." In July 1985, his team found the Ato Cha and roughly $400 million in silver, gold, and emeralds. Then the state of Florida sued him for a share of it. He had paid for that treasure 10 years in advance. Painting watch dials with glowing radium was clean, well-paid indoor work, and the young women hired for it were told to point their brushes with their lips. Some painted their nails and teeth with it for fun. Within a few years, their jaws were disintegrating. Grace Fryer spent 2 years finding a lawyer willing to take the case. When 5 of the women sued in 1927, doctors gave them months to live. The men who owned the radium kept the money. The women are still radioactive in their graves. Alfred Nobel's fortune began with a substance nobody could control. Nitroglycerin was enormously powerful and detonated for almost no reason at all. On the 3rd of September 1864, the family's laboratory in Stockholm exploded and killed 5 people. One of them was Alfred's youngest brother Emil, aged 21. Their father never recovered. Alfred patented dynamite anyway, built an explosives empire across Europe, and died one of the richest men on the continent. The prize that carries his name is paid for entirely out of that money. In 1980, a boy found a gold nugget in a riverbank in Pa-Ra, and within months, a hillside in the Amazon held 100,000 men. At Sheh Ha Pe La Da, Diggers carried 60-kilo sacks up 400 meters of wooden ladders for about 20 cents a sack. The photographer Sebastião Salgado, who climbed down into it, said it was like traveling to the beginning of time. 45 tons of gold were officially declared. Most of the rest was smuggled out. Landslides closed the pit. It is a lake now. Broome, in Western Australia, supplied most of the world's mother of pearl, and it ran on Japanese divers walking the seafloor under 180 kilos of gear. The more shell a man brought up, the more he was paid, so he surfaced too fast. The Japanese cemetery in Broome holds 919 people in 707 graves. Half of them died in their 20s. As foreign contract labor, they were not covered by Australian compensation law at all. For 2 centuries, the mountain above Potosi produced more silver than anywhere on Earth, and coins minted from it circulated as far as China. In 1573, the Viceroy Francisco de Toledo formalized the mita, a labor draft that sent Andean villages into the shafts in rotation. The mercury used to refine the ore poisoned them slowly. No reliable death toll exists. Estimates run from tens of thousands to several million, and none of them can be verified. In Spain, wealth itself was called a Potosi. Rubber made Julio César Arana one of the richest men in South America, and his company was listed on the London Stock Exchange. In the Putumayo region of the Amazon, his agents held indigenous families hostage to force the men to tap rubber, and flogged, starved, and killed those who came back short. The British diplomat Roger Casement investigated in 1910 and came back with hundreds of pages of testimony. Casement was knighted for that report and hanged by Britain 6 years later. Arana was never punished. The man who made the first fortune in the California gold rush never mined anything. Sam Brannan heard about the strike, quietly bought every shovel, pan, and pick he could find, then walked through San Francisco holding up gold dust and shouting that there was gold on the American River. The stampede he started bought his stock at his prices. He became California's first millionaire. Most of the men who dug died broke. Brannan died in 1889 with almost nothing. The largest fortune here came from bird excrement. From the 1840s, Peru shipped millions of tons of Chincha Island guano to European farms, dug by Chinese laborers under contracts they could not read, in ammonia dust, in equatorial sun. In 1860, it was calculated that of the 4,000 sent to those islands, not one was still alive. The British merchant William Gibbs handled the trade and became the richest commoner in England. Peru borrowed against the guano and went bankrupt anyway. Gibbs's house is a tourist attraction today. Every fortune here was dug by somebody, rarely by the person who kept it. Which of these 15 surprised you most? 15 fortunes, 15 ways to die making them. And 15 times, the money ended up somewhere the danger never reached. Whether by crab pot, diving bell, radium brush, or guano shovel, they all found out the same thing. Risk is never shared. It's assigned.